Welcome back, everybody. This week we're going to be talking about Introduction to Vertebrates. As we talk about the vertebrates, we'll talk about fish, amphibians, and reptiles. This should be slide 16 on your presentation, and we're going to go all the way to slide 33. So, vertebrates. Kingdom is Animalia, phylum is Chordata, classes are fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. We're going to talk about fish, amphibians, and reptiles. If I look at how the animal kingdom is organized, we talk about all the different types of invertebrates, and then we get to chordata for vertebrates. Characteristics of vertebrates. All vertebrates have a backbone. A notochord, that's the embryonic structure that turns into a backbone. A dorsal nerve cord, it's a structure that turns into a spinal cord in a brain. Pharyngeal gill pouches, it's a structure that becomes gills, jaws, inner ear, and tonsils. So this picture is an interesting photo, but all vertebrates have the 4-starred structures as an embryo. All vertebrates, fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and even us. And they're going to retain these structures their entire life. So a notochord will turn into the nerve cord. Excretory system. So all vertebrates have advanced systems. They have the ability to get rid of wastes, like kidneys, an excretory system. A brain can handle both motor and sensory functions, an autonomic nervous system in control of internal organs. A complete digestive system, ventral to the spine, so spinal column, and provided with large digestive glands, liver and pancreas. And every one of them have a closed circulatory system. So let's talk about fish, amphibians, and reptiles. So fish. They're phylum Animalia, the kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, and they have 3 classes. There's things called jawless fish, cartilaginous fish, and bony fish. The characteristics are they all have gills for breathing, a backbone, vertebrae, paired fins, closed circulatory system, and a 2-chambered heart. A fish also has the ability to respirate. Water flows over the gills as a fish opens mouth and swims. The water flows opposite direction of the blood flow. Oxygen, which is O2, diffuses from the water into the blood. Gills are made of thousands of gill filaments. Gills are covered by this gill cover. Fish reproduction. Most reproduce sexually and fertilize their eggs externally. Sharks and rays, though, fertilize internally. Some even keep their eggs in their uterus. Others will lay the eggs. Spawning is the process of fertilizing eggs, and baby fish are called fry. So there are 3 types of fish: jawless, cartilaginous, and bony. Jawless have the characteristics of no jaws, skeletons made of cartilage, soft skin, no scales. They lack a swim bladder. Some examples would be like lamprey or hagfish. A cartilaginous fish, they swim constantly to force oxygen into their gills. They have a strong caudal tail, which is the tail fin. And then the skeleton is not made of bone, it's cartilage because it's a cartilaginous fish. And examples would be sharks and rays. Bony fish would be a skeleton made of bone, swim bladder, air-filled sac that helps them with buoyancy, allows them to go up and down in the water. They do not have to swim to breathe. They can move their gill covers to force water over their gills. And examples would be trout, perch, goldfish. All right, so we look at a fish from the external anatomy and the internal anatomy. You see all the fins are labeled on the left-hand side. If you open them up, on the inside, there's the swim bladder, the gonads, the brain, spine. Then we talk about amphibians. Amphibians, the word itself means double life. They live part of their life on water and part on land. This includes frogs, toads, salamanders, and something that's really unique called caecilians. Characteristics: number 1, smooth, moist skin. They don't have scales. Number 2, they have toes, but they don't have claws. Number 3, they have gills, lungs, and skin used in respiration at different parts of their life. Number 4, they go through a process of metamorphosis from a larval stage to an adult. Number 5, a larval heart has 2 chambers, but then it changes when it becomes an adult and has actually a 3rd chamber in the heart. There are 3 types of amphibians. You have frogs, toads, salamanders. Frogs, 2 bulging eyes, strong, long, webbed hind feet for leaping and swimming, smooth or slimy skin. They lay eggs in clusters. Toads, it's a poison gland behind the eyes, stubby bodies with short hind legs for walking instead of hopping. They have warty and dry skin, usually preferring drier climates. They lay eggs in chains. Salamanders, these are amphibians that have tails. They have short, stubby legs. When they hatch, they have gills, usually outside of the body. Then the skin will go over the top of them. Lungs form in an adult, and they lay eggs. 2 types of respiration. They have pulmonary respiration, where they're using their lungs. Cutaneous respiration allows them to breathe through the skin. Here's a life cycle of a frog, starting out as eggs, developing to embryos, then to tadpoles, and tadpole with legs, tadpole with 4 legs, young frog, and then eventually to an adult frog. The reptiles here, you have dry body covered with scales. The toes have claws. They're well-developed lungs folded into small sacs called alveoli. The heart is 3-chambered, 2 atria and 1 ventricle. There are 6,000 different species of reptiles. The groups of reptiles would be considered turtles, terrapins, tortoises, lizards, snakes, and crocodilians. That brings us to the amniotic egg. That's what reptiles will lay, as amniotic eggs. So the amnion encloses embryonic fluid. The yolk sac encloses the yolk. Allantois stores the embryo waste. And the chorion lines the inside of the shell and regulates movement of gases in and out of the shell. All right, and that should bring us to the end of this presentation.